everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Dr. Amy, and I'm your moderator for this wonderful event that we're having today. I'm so excited that you took time out of your busy schedules to learn together in this masterclass and at this John Maxwell team exclusive masterclass leading through crisis. Okay. Today, our focus is on three key areas. The first one is the practical ways to maneuver through times of difficulty and adversity. The second one is effectively battling distraction during times of crisis and stress. And the third area of focus is adopting successful thinking habits to think your way through any crisis. With us this evening are two wonderful speakers. Our first speaker, Professor Jeff Willey, is a retired U.S. Air Force. So, Professor Jeff served in the U.S. Air Force for over 25 years in key leadership roles. He is also an associate professor at the University of Phoenix, where he teaches undergraduate leadership courses. Additionally, Professor Jeff transforms the lives of high school students by teaching value-based communication and leadership courses called the Air Force Junior ROTC course for about 15 years. Currently, Professor Jeff is the CEO of Jeff Willey Leadership, Executive Director of the John Maxwell Team, keynote, motivational speaker, and an educational consultant. He has plenty other roles such as executive leadership consultant, trainer and coach, conflict resolution trainer, disc behavior analysis consultant and trainer, educational consultant and trainer, diversity and inclusion trainer, and he's an international speaker. Professor Jeff has conducted leadership seminars throughout the US, Tokyo, Japan, Cameroon, and Oregon. He has leadership coaching clients in Ghana, Cameroon, Philippines, Kenya, Oman, and in the US. Professor Jeff is a contributing writer for the Good Life Family magazines and co-author of In Her Boots, Sexual Assault Prevention and Recovery Strategies. Professor Jeff is a certified mediator and Arkansas law enforcement instructor in special weapons and trades, the SWAT. He is an honorary colonel with the Arkansas State Police. He has three associate degrees and is pursuing a doctoral degree in educational leadership. Professor Jeff is married to his high school sweetheart of over 44 years and is blessed with two daughters and two grandchildren. With us this evening, as well as our second speaker and host, is Mr. Ng Wankwo. Ng Wankwo is a trained engineer by profession, working with one of the biggest oil and gas construction companies in the Middle East as an external interface lead coordinator. He has been awarded the Superstar Award of his company twice in 2016 and 2019, as well as the overall Best Employee in 2020. He manages projects, coordinates interface approval from early site works until the completion of the project. Mr. NG is an independent certified speaker, trainer, and coach with the John Maxwell team, and a certified expert in the Maxwell method of disc behavioral analysis. He is a renowned member of the Empowered Living community, which has over 26,000 entrepreneur leaders and coaches, and he serves as an ambassador that hosts weekly show on Facebook. In addition, he's the servant leader of Learn to Lead Consult, a fast growing consulting firm in personal development, leadership, and coaching for aspiring leaders. He's also a volunteer with FIFA, CAF, and the Qatar Triathlon. Angie is married and lives in Qatar with his wife and their three lovely children. So as you can see, we have, two very amazing people, and I really hope that we're going to get a lot out of this masterclass and benefit greatly. Please help me to welcome our two speakers, Professor Jeff and Mr. Njiwampo. All right, so let's jump right away into the questions because the way that this is, I would have questions for Mr. Ng and Professor Jeff. So we're going to start with you, Professor. What is your definition of crisis as a leader?
That is a phenomenal question. Absolutely. And you think about that for a moment. And oh, by the way, Amy, Dr. Amy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Mr. NG, thank you so much for allowing me to participate in this phenomenal, absolutely webinar to be to impact and change lives for men and women across this globe. And so I must say I'm honored. I am extremely honored and I'm extremely grateful that you came to me and asked me, Mr. MG, because it feels very special. And Dr. Amy, I'm just meeting you for the day, but I sense this glorious atmosphere about you, this personality. So I can see why NG asked you to facilitate this process as well. And I tell you what, it is absolutely an honor. So I must give credit where credit is due. And right now, I want to acknowledge that. And for those who are attending and listening in, please, I want to say thank you. You're honoring me and you're blessing me by being part of this workshop. Because, of course, it's Saturday somewhere in your location, Saturday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday night, but you took time to be part of this webinar today. So I must recognize you and give you thanks for being here and part of this as well. Absolutely. But you can look at what we got here in the writing of what you asked me. What is the definition of a crisis? And we can answer that multiple ways. I'll give you the Webster definition, but I'm going to initially, what I'm going to do with that right now, before I give you my definition, because I want to make sure that our primary host, and that is NG. Do you mind, Amy, if I'm going to default his definition first and let him go first, and then I'm going to follow up with that as well, because I want to hear, because I have to give honors due. And so I'm stepping off the pedestal and I'm passing the crown to NG because as far as I'm concerned, he is the king of this castle and I want him to go first. So thank you. So NG, do you mind taking that first? And then I'm going to give you my definition. I want to follow up with you because you know what I think about all this though, Amy? He is the smart one. He is the engineer. He knows everything. He knows everything. So I'm going to default to the brainy one. Even though I have this title as professor, that doesn't make me the smartest one in the room. So NG, you are the smartest one in the room. So I'm going to default to you and allow you to answer that first.
Wow, thank you, Prof. I don't know where I'm going to start, but I just want to thank everyone that has just joined us. And I'm so grateful for your time. And I'm so honored for Prophet Jeff, a US retired Air Force, to joining us. I'm so honored for you to be here. And Dr. Amy, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Just before I jump into, because we said a lot, into the question right away. If you're sitting here right now, you are a leader, because I saw some comments in the chat where someone said he's not a leader. If you have a family, you're automatically a leader. If you are a senior in your family or in your office, there is someone that you lead. So everyone in this webinar is a leader. John Maxwell said something, he said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Do you influence anyone? Then you are a leader. Are you in the right place? Sure, you are in the right place. So back to the question that we asked, back to the what is crisis? I'll just start with the dictionary definition. The Webster dictionary defines crisis as as a time of intense, difficult danger. Thank God we have Dr. Amy here. In medical field, if you ask them what is crisis, they will say it's a turning point. When a person is at that turning point, is that going to get better or worse? Then you ask the Greek definition, what is crisis? They say is a decision. So based on this teaching leading to crisis of John Maxwell, we'll just combine all the three to give us a better definition. I hope you have a pen and a notepad because you're going to be getting some wonderful nugget from us. Ultimately, John Maxwell defined crisis as an intense time of difficulties. That's what the dictionary said. requiring a decision. That's what the Greek said. That will be a turning point. Medical says that. So crisis is an intense time of difficulties requiring a decision that will be a turning point. With everything going around here in this world, you know that this definition fit right into it. Certainly, this meets the definition. And that is why we are sharing this with you, how you're going to lead your way through crisis. Because as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a family man, we all make different decisions. The good news is that, like all other crises, this will eventually pass. The challenge for leaders is to stay strong and steady, but you have to know yourself to lead yourself. So I'm going to give everyone right here an opportunity to get the Maxwell Dix assessment profile today. Make sure you get it. Finally, on a final note, because I don't want to take much of our time. For me, crisis is when you can't say, let's forget the whole thing. As a leader, you can't say, let's forget it, let's forget it. You must forge ahead. Thank you so much, Dr. Ami, and thank you, Professor Jeff, for that honor. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Didn't I tell you he was the smartest guy in the room? I called it correctly, didn't I? I tried to definitely call it correctly. So one thing about being a professor, we admit that when we're wrong and we admit that when we were right. And this time I was right. Absolutely. But let me add to that. Think about this from your perspective. And I'm going to share with you some crises that you may be familiar with in your lifetime. At least I'll share some with you that I'm familiar with in my lifetime. When you're having surgery, Dr. Amy, when you personally having surgery, it's minor surgery to me. But when I'm having surgery, it's major surgery to me, isn't it? And so that crisis become a perspective, doesn't it? It becomes a perspective. And then you're going to hear this quite a bit today, how I see things is how I'll do things. So please write that down. Come on now, I see some pain. Samuel, write that down, Samuel. Angelina, write that down. How I'll see things is how I'll do things. That crisis is a perspective. Let me share some crises that happened in my lifetime, and you might have some others in your world as well. How about the AIDS epidemic in the early 80s, 1981, the AIDS epidemic was a crisis. Oh man, we don't know what we're gonna do. How about this one? Y2K in 2000. Oh my goodness, the world is coming to an end. Our computer systems, and some of you saying, well, this guy's old. Yeah, I'm a little older. Absolutely. I remember Y2K. You heard about that. We was going to all our jobs and reconfiguring our computers, saving up all our data, but there still was a crisis. How about in 2001, anthrax? Okay, remember that one? Maybe not. I know I remember that in 2001. And of course, one that really sticks out to me the most significantly, besides what we're in right now, how about 9/11 in 2001, our World Trade Center and our Pentagon, when terrorists attacked my home front. That was a crisis, a major crisis. How about the SARS virus in 2003? And so, in other words, guess what I'm saying though? A crisis is quite common. We have them all the time. And then how do we lead through that? How about the bird flu in 2005? Oh my goodness, what are we gonna do about this bird flu? How about E. coli virus in 2006? I'm giving you some times and date, and you realize that just because we're going through COVID-19 and coronavirus right now, we have major disasters. We always going through a crisis. As we say, as NG said, this shall pass. Even the good times shall pass. And in this country, in 2008, economic recession, major bankruptcies, major failure, real estate failures in this country. 2009, how about the swine flu? Some of you might not remember that, but 2009. How about British Petroleum in 2010, BP? I know NG, you remember that, you're a petroleum guy, you in the oil and gas industry. And then how about 2013, we thought North Korea was going to take us all out, especially in this country, especially we have military forces in South Korea. We was concerned about North Korea. And then all of a sudden 2014 came around and we're dealing with ISIS. ISIS, this terrorist group in the Middle East, and they're going to take us out. And then here we are right now in 2020, 2021, dealing with COVID-19. So a crisis is always what? Common. How do we lead through those crises? And that's our focus here today, is to help us lead through those crises. And I want to go back to that one thing that NG mentioned at the beginning. Someone said that they are not a leader. Title doesn't determine your leadership, but your behavior does. And so if you are any role, if you're breathing, you're in leadership. Leadership is influence, and you have impact and influence over those people and that sphere around you. So we all are leaders in this webinar. So Ninji, I'm so thankful that you did define that aspect of what leadership very clearly, leading through a crisis. So thank you, Amy, for asking that question.
Wow, such an insightful response from from Mr. NG and Professor Jeff. Wow. So my second question is actually for Professor Jeff. I know you've basically told us what is the definition of crisis as a leader, but how do you define what constitutes a crisis and why?
Very good. Thanks for asking the question. So you allowed me to talk again. Be careful what you ask for. Okay, we'll let you know, be careful what you ask for. You give a Willie boy the microphone, you walk away like, oh my goodness, he's still talking. He's got so much to say. Well, when you have a lot to say, sometimes it comes from the heart, and I'm very passionate about this subject on leadership. Great questions. It's what intense time of crisis. Remember, I stated it earlier, and you are going to hear this quite often throughout this webinar today, is how we view things is how we do things. So I said earlier, Amy, guess what? Surgery to you is minor, but surgery to me is major. If I'm having my toe worked on, it's major surgery. There are many gray areas in our life, and that could be great. That could be great because it's minor to me because it's your surgery. I'm just going to pray for you, but it's still minor surgery, even though you might have some major condition, but to you it's major surgery. So it's how we view things is how we do things. Situations can lead to a crisis, but a crisis, as we stated earlier, represents a threat to our organizations, to our reputation, and our ability to be successful. That's what a crisis does. Because when I'm having surgery, I can't do certain things. I had knee surgery 4 years ago. For a year, I couldn't go out and run. So that was a crisis to me. I have to make some necessary adjustments. And a crisis does that. I have to make some necessary adjustments in our life. And these are some things, there's 5 types of crises that we deal with. And there's many categories, but let's just consider a few for today's discussion. How about a family situation? A child abuse investigation, spousal abuse, unplanned pregnancy, parents' desertion, chronic ill member of the family, lack of social support creates what? Stress, and it creates a what? A crisis. Or you remember the recession in 2008 in this country? It affected not only this country, but it also affected the globe. It affected international markets as well. Economic situations, a financial strain on a family, loss of job and an employment, eviction, food, and some people in this country during COVID-19 lost their jobs. They're dealing with a epidemic, a medical, scientific epidemic, but they're also losing their job. And some was even evicted from their home. That is a crisis. Household cash has been depleted. Medical support has been depleted. How about community situations? Crisis on top of a crisis. And right now in this country, how about neighborhood violence? We're dealing with a lot of gun violence right now in this country. in spite of COVID-19, we're dealing with a lot of gun violence in the United States of America right now. It's really becoming a pandemic on top of a pandemic. Inadequate housing, community resources, educational programs. How about that significant life event, such as a marriage? Now, this is a joyful moment, a birth of a child, but it creates a level of anxiety and stress. All those things considered based on, remember, how I view things is how I'll do things. A job promotion could be a crisis. You know why job promotion could be a crisis? Emotionally, I don't think I'm ready for it. I don't have the skill set. I'm not competent for that position. Even though my superiors say, NG, you are ready for that job. But significantly is how I'll view things, is how I'll do things. And so now my negativism comes in. Oh, I don't think I'm ready for that promotion. You can get advanced in pay. What do I do with this excess in money? And so all those things are significant life events. And of course, right now we're dealing with natural events currently in this country, but it could be a natural event, floods, hurricanes, fires, earthquakes. All those things constitute a crisis. You know why they constitute a crisis? Because they create a level of stress and anxiety, and we have to learn to lead through them. In February 2021, in the midst of the pandemic, guess what we experienced in the state of Texas? We had a major freeze in February of this year, major power crisis as a result of 3 severe winter storms that were sweeping across the United States, February the 10th through the 11th, 13th to the 17th, the 15th to the 21st. And you may have heard about that in the state of Texas, where our power grid was completely lost. And I am without power in my home for certain periods of time. Rolling blackouts created a crisis. Now, goes back to that word. How I'll view things is how I'll do things. Well, let me tell you what's happening in Jeff Willie's home. Because of my past experiences in my environment that I was raised up in, power outage is not a major catastrophe for me because I grew up without electricity, without running water, without TV, without a telephone, without a car, putting wood on the fireplace, putting wood inside the stove to be able to heat my home. So it was not a major crisis to me, where some people that was comfortable in those amenities, it was a major crisis for them. Goes back to the perspective is how I'll view things, is how I'll do things. So that's very key to that. Please resonate with that. Let that resonate with you. Because remember, I've said it multiple times and you're going to hear it, because the redundancy creates that learning. It's minor surgery when I see you happening, but it's major surgery for me. That's my answer to that. So Amy, thank you for asking that question.
Wow. I mean, this response just blew me away. I really hope that everyone is getting something from this discussion, because it's really powerful. And I especially like what you said about how you grew up and basically compared it to people who grew up with certain amenities, and like to them this is a major crisis, but to you, so you're really making sense in what you say, that how you view things is going to dictate how you do things. So this is really, really good. So my next question, I'm going to start with NG. What experience do you have in leading during a time of crisis?
Wow, 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 wow. That is a wonderful question. I hope you're getting clarity. Prof, you are talking too much, so much impact you're making for us. Look, I'm so honored for you to be here, and I hope we can just get it on with the time that we have, because our aim here is to lead you to navigate through crisis when it comes. And if you are in one, how to navigate your way out of it. For me, for example, was my experience. For me, I had a midlife crisis. We all know what is midlife crisis. That's between the age of 40 and 45. So many things happened that I thought as a person shouldn't happen. I worked in an oil and gas industry, like we know. So based on project, that's how we are worked. Then that happened. Then we had a blockade around the country where I live. I live here in Qatar. So there was a blockade and there was no project coming in. So the life is going. You're thinking, what is going to happen? I didn't know what I was going to do. That was a crisis. That was my experience. But what did I do? I had to jump into the right environment. I joined the John Maxwell team leadership certification. I didn't even have the money, all the money to make the investment. But guess what? I had a plan to pay monthly because I was looking how to lead my family out of the crisis, how to lead myself out of the right race. So I stepped forward and turned in and got certified. So I learned something. The first point as a leader is to find reality. And reality is that we need to take seriously. Did you get that? Take what is responsible to slow the crisis down. The wisest man that ever lived on the face of the earth, Solomon, said, "These two shall pass. Coronavirus shall pass." You will hear me saying a lot of this. Life never stays static. Did you get that? Life never stays static. Life happens. So my experience in crisis is that if you are a bad leader, the fall is much faster. Crisis has the tendency to exaggerate everything, be it positive or in a negative way. So in crisis, you keep everything steady. Know that this too shall pass. Peter Drucker said something I like to quote here. He said, "A crisis must never be experienced for a second time." A crisis must never be experienced for a second time. Number two, that I learned during crisis, my experience at crisis, is that, like Prof has always says, how we view things determine how we do things. Did you? I hope you wrote this one down. That Paul has been saying it. How we view things determine how we do things. So you put the people first. In my own, I had to put my family first. I have to put my priority. You give up your rights. And this is what is very difficult for most of us, but it pays, because when you know that you are doing it for your family, for your job, for the people around you, that is what matters. Number three, educate yourself. Keep what the issue is. Know the key point. Know what the issue is. Get the best mind around you. What was I? For me, I had to join the John Maxwell team, a think tank, and so many people around me in your industry, be it safety, be it engineering, be it as a teaching profession. Get the best mind around you. Could you just imagine what happened when we went back? Corona happened and people had to go online to teach. What happened? That takes us to the number four that I have to say. Everybody has to be flexible. Crisis has a lot of uncertainty and a lot of changes. You have to be adjustable. When plan A doesn't work, you go for plan B or even plan C or plan D. Did you know that? You can't just stick to one plan. You have to be flexible in that. That's what I learned as a person. Number four, utilize your team and leverage your team and resources. As a family man, I utilize my wife. As a person of faith, I leverage on my brethren in my place of worship, bringing all of us together, one vision, one purpose, but what? Different perspective. I'll say that again. Bringing everyone together, one vision, one mission, but different perspective. So we all could view it from a different angle. Write this one down. Just don't miss this one. This one I say, all of us is smarter than one of us. All of us is smarter than one of us. So how did I do that? Because I can say I'm smart. Prof is very smart. And our moderator, Dr. Amy, is smart. But when we all come together, all of us, we are smarter than one of us. Number five, what I did as a person, I communicated judiciously. Less talking, more thinking, and action to your team members or to your family. This will help you see clarity. Finally, I don't know if I can just say because of our time. I don't know. Okay, I'll just give two more. I'll just give because you all are here. I'll just give more. He said, be authentic. Authenticity is what people, your family, your workers, your business partner want in leadership. It is better than professionalism. Always tell your team the truth, not when it collapses. I don't always have the answer as the leader. Neither does any leader have all the answer. Do the right thing, stepping forward. Number seven, I'll just say, keep your head above the ground, but your head above the crowd. You must be in the crowd, but your head must be above the crowd. For me, during all those midlife crises, as my head was above the crowd, I could see the bigger picture. Finally, I encourage others by example. Encourage others. That helped me. So right now you're here in this webinar, and some of us in this one, the same PowerPoint or the same scriptures as a person of faith or the same charts that I used to encourage others were handy for me during my own midlife crisis, and I needed them to do as a leader. As a leader, I'll just leave this one for you. Manage yourself, manage your family, manage your resources. Most leader, the greatest challenge of every leader is the challenge to lead itself. So you have to manage because you are the leading anchor of your team. So therefore, what am I saying this? You have to manage yourself. You have to know yourself to lead yourself and to lead others. That is why the John Maxwell method of Dix is a great tool for you, because it was a great tool for me. It was an eye-opener for me. When I got the report, I said, boy, this is me that they are talking about. So they have to show me my mirror based on what I answered. So I'm telling you, it was good for me and it's good for you. Thank you so much, Jatemi, for that question.
Wow, I hope everyone is unpacking all of the nuggets that are just being dropped in this masterclass. Like there's so much wisdom that is being dropped right now. And I think one of the main things that I've gotten out of this is during times of crisis, there's things for us to do to actually, just like Angie said, lead ourselves and then lead your family out of that crisis. And this is essentially the reason why we're having this masterclass, to learn these tips and these nuggets from these two very brilliant individuals. And I really hope everyone is making the best of this opportunity. So I'm actually going to throw the same question to Professor Jeff. Like, what experience do you have in leading during a time of crisis?
I, I don't know. What do I need to say? There's nothing else needs to be said. I'm telling you, you want to drop the mic after NG finished that. You want to drop the mic and go home. You want to drop the mic and go out and just take action, because he called us to take action. So, oh, wait a minute. Let me do this first. Oh my goodness. That's my standing ovation and my round of applause for my brother. I literally. So I'm going to keep this one short in regards to one example. Thank you for asking the question, Amy, and following. Just one example. When I started, as you said in my bio, I did Air Force Junior ROTs for 15 years. And the last school district that I was working in, when I started working in that department, and that there really is a department for at the district level, the program itself was broken. It was so broken that our department headquarters at Air Force headquarters was on the verge of closing the unit down because lack of effective leadership. And so I am retired enlisted, but we have a retired officer that's running the program. That's the still structure, because we're teaching our young men and women in high school organizational leadership. And we're teaching them communication. We're teaching them social emotional skills. We're teaching some citizenship, character, behavior. But that program was so broken, lack of management, during the assessments by the headquarters Department of the Air Force headquarters. They assess us how well we're performing and meeting all the criteria to keep that program viable in that district. And the Air Force was saying, lack of effective leadership, we're on the verge of shutting this program down. And I'm in shock because I just arrived. I just showed up. The fear of now, if we shut this program down, I don't have a job. I'm out of work. The other instructors will be out of work. But they came and did an assessment, and it failed my first year. It was already under probation, fell in the first year before I arrived, and then the year that I was there. Since I was not subjective to the previous years, there was no stain against me, but the other instructors and the leader of the pack lost his job. The Air Force said, I have no more confidence in your leadership, so you are out of here. And so now, since I'm the senior person responsible for the program, and I'm diving into the regulations, I'm seeing what was broken. And it took a lot of work to turn that ship around, like turning the Titanic around, trying to avoid the icebergs, because if we don't avoid these icebergs, we're going to sink. And so in the midst of that, when you start turning things around, you don't make too many friends because they've been comfortable with the way things are going. And at the point is, we have to turn this around because the program, we will lose the program will shut down, it'll impact the district, it'll impact the community, and instructors will be out of a job. So in the midst of turning things around, I'm telling you, Dr. Amy, I was not making a lot of friends. I was making a lot of enemies. But in the midst of the day, we got that ship turned around. We was able to save the program. We were able to increase the viability of the program. In the midst of my efforts of doing that, the Air Force decided, well, let's just give Jeff Willis, since he now saved the program and saved the Titanic from sinking, not by alone, but what NG said, you leverage your team. All of us is smarter than one of us, but you empower the team to work together because we do have a crisis. So let's bring this brain trust together and leverage this knowledge to be able to turn this Titanic around. And that's what we was able to do. But the Air Force said, well, since Jeff Willie was the leader, we're going to give you the instructor of the year for this time frame. But my credit goes to those other members that was on that team, because remember, the other schools out there were not on the verge of shutting down. So it was nothing to them. So it's a crisis to us because job loss, family loss, money loss, the children, the high school student would be significantly impacted. The community would be significantly impacted. So that's a crisis, isn't it? And so we was able to do that. And that's been others, of course, but I want to share that experience is that once you come out of that, it really, but gives you the preparation and the resolve to prepare for the next crisis because it's coming. It is coming. So that's so thank you for asking that question. NG, thank you for setting it up because you set it up.
That's a
You're muted,
fantastic
Amy.
response. Like that's really, really, really amazing. And one thing that I actually took away from that is when you're in a crisis situation, and just like Professor Jeff said, you might lose some friends. So this is where people start to panic. Is this okay? Is this normal? But as we've just learned, this is something that could happen, and it's just good to keep that at the back of our mind. But like he said as well, at the end, once we're able to turn that ship around, it makes all the difference. So forgive me for making you talk too much, Professor Jeff, but the next question is for you. Um, battling distraction during crisis. So in your experience, what are some of the good ways a leader can maintain focus during times of distraction?
I promise you, Amy, I promise you, I'm going to keep it short and I'm going to keep it simple and the brevity because of timing. but a lot of the nuggets came out of what NG said earlier. A lot of the information did. So if you can go back and unrecord that in your mind and play that back and look at your notes, you're going to see a lot of the things. I'm going to try not to repeat some of them. I'm going to highlight a couple things. But let me tell you, the first thing, put people first. Please write that down, stamp it on your forehead. Make sure that is your number one priority, is to make sure you and I as leaders that we put people first. And NG said it so very, very eloquently earlier, because he put his family what? First. He put his family first. Let me give you another perspective right quick, and then we're going to transition to NG. But one of the great things that helps with that, because what is a distractor? It's taking you away from your primary goal, isn't it? That's what a distractor does. But leaders, because of, oh, hear that word go again. I'm sorry, here it goes. No, I'm not apologizing for it. It's how we see things. Redundancy is important in this process. You guys realize that. Us learners know that redundancy is important. Is how determines how we do things. Significantly important. And so when I see this crisis, remember, distractors take us away from our primary objective. And so what we need to do is to create traction. Traction is momentum. Traction is pushing us forward. That's what traction does. It puts us in a position where, if you've seen a guy that's running track, and I'm a former runner, I call myself still a runner, but I'll say former just for this age-wise and the knee surgery. But still, I'm getting traction. I'm moving forward. You don't see too many runners running backwards. At least I have not seen too many runners running backwards. They are running forward. And so leaders, we must develop that traction and that momentum to go forward. But in the process of that, we also must be flexible, because things changes. And think about the coronavirus. One day we hear in this, one day we hear in that. And so leaders have to be adaptable and flexible to be able to provide relevant and current and authentic information to the member that they put first, to the people that they put first, which are the people. In John Maxwell's book called Leadership, is the ability, leadership, and John says it this way, leadership is the ability and the willingness to make a leadership change that will positively enhance the organization and professional and personal growth. You cannot be the same, think the same, and act the same if you hope to be successful. In the world, COVID-19, a crisis situation, we can't remain the same. You have to be adaptable. You have to be flexible. You have to be adjustable. You have to make the necessary leadership. And you have to keep the right perspective at the right moment. Why? Because you're putting the people first.
Wow, this is excellent. This is excellent. So much wisdom being unpacked here tonight. So the next question I have is for Angie, and it's about character in a crisis. So in your opinion, is a negative or positive perspective helpful during a crisis? And if yes, why do you think so?
Wow, wow. I don't know if I had to say any other thing. You know, Prof was just quoting date for each and every one of us. But I'm so grateful that you asked me that question, because when a person or people are in crisis, they think it is never been this bad. They always think it has never been this bad. But I just want you to know that it has been this bad. Prof quoted several dates, but he missed the 1918 and 1930. the bird flu killing about 1 million people a week. I'm not trying to minimize this crisis. That is not what I'm trying to do, because we are all going through it. But how to navigate through it? See, when crisis happen, like he has said, Professor Jeff has said, is a minor surgery for someone else or a major for me. I am using so much of medical terms, or what, just using so much of medical terms, because our moderator is Dr. Emmy, the CEO of BioStyle, having us here. So back to what she said. I would just like to have Nina O'Neill quote. He said, out of every crisis comes a chance to be reborn. Did you just get that? Out of every crisis comes a chance to be reborn. As a leader, give the right perspective to the people, and for me, to my family and to my business. So during crisis, as a leader, don't always have all the answers. The leader don't always have the answers, because there are a lot of anxiety, uncertainty, but a good leader gives hope, security, and encouragement. Did you get that? What a good leader does: gives hope, security, and encouragement. Make sure that you get the DICS assessment program, because that is going to help you on this. And for the fact you're here in this webinar, we're going to give you a 30 minutes free to discuss your report. Okay, back to the question. A crisis reveals what is inside of us. Crisis doesn't make us, it reveals what is already inside of us. So when it comes to you, it shows what a leader or a person has inside. Put a leader and the ability to adapt to the shifting circumstances of this place. So I'll give this example. I like to give the example like what Prof has just said. See, when you squeeze an orange, you get an orange juice. If you squeeze a lemon, you get a lemon juice. So when you squeeze a human being, you get what is inside, be it positive or negative, will come out. Often people think that a crisis forged character, but the truth, that's not true. And what is true is that our choice shapes our character, and crisis simply reveals the result of those choices that we make. Our choices make or use us, reveal us. Choices make us, crisis reveals us. Did you get that? I'll say it again. I said what? Crisis makes us. No, choices makes us, crisis reveals us. I want you to understand this. We have control over our choice, but we don't have control over crisis, because like Prophet said, he said it's coming. So if you're a leader or in a leadership role, you don't mold and lead at the same time. So you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out as a leader, as a manager, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a worker. You have to figure it out. Leaders who limp into complaining mood or who begin to blame others when things get tough are leaders who make bad choices and are being brought to light. So when a leader make a bad choice, what he does amplify. But the good news is that, like adversities, they unmarks a leader today can build character in the leader tomorrow. What is the best thing I have said? If a leader is willing to learn from that mistake, positive attitude, he can shift to a better, even in the midst of the crisis. He can just shift even in the midst of crisis. Just like a successful coach, football coach does at halftime, he adjusts what? He adjusts his team. Great leaders can adapt to uncertainty of the moment and find a proactive solution that creates a forward momentum. Great leaders, I say it again, can adapt. You can adapt uncertainty of the moment and find a proactive solution that creates forward momentum. John says something that I like to say. He said, adaptability, leaders can turn adversity into advantage. Adaptable leaders can turn adversity into advantage. Thank you so much, Dr. Amy. I just want to keep it short. I hope I was short.
Wow, that was an excellent, excellent response. And I'm actually glad, honestly, Professor Jeff and Angie, you guys are like the perfect facilitators to have, because you people keep saying things that complement each other. It's like yin and yang. And there's something that you said just now. You said that a good leader gives hope, security, and encouragement. And just to veer off a bit, you also said a thing about, when you squeeze orange, you get orange juice. But then in time of crisis, when you squeeze the person, it's like the crisis squeezing the person. It basically shows what stuff you're made of. Are you a positive person or are you a negative person? And obviously that has big impact on what path you go on. But the thing that you said actually is going to lead me to the next question for Professor Jeff. And this question is about real leadership in crisis. So, Professor, do you think that leaders need to be a visible presence during time of crisis, and why?
That's a open and closed end question. I can just say yes and we move on, but I won't do that. I know you want more. I know, but absolutely, I know you want more, Dr. Amy. But that is a unequivocally yes answer. And NG just talked about it. Man, I tell you what, I'm gonna keep hanging out with this guy. Either you're gonna move to Texas, or I'm gonna move to Doha, one or the other. Or won't we just meet in between and meet in London? Because London is about halfway. Let's just reside in London together. That's about halfway. Absolutely. And let me answer it this way: with the yes comes all the other stuff. Okay, but the answer is yes. Hope, and NG said it. The leader has to be a beacon of hope. Has to be. There's so much uncertainty that's there with a crisis. And if you're not the beacon of hope, I just connect it, make it simple. NG, you're the leader of your household. You're the man, you out to work, you're the father of your children, you're the husband of your wife. And when they squeeze you and everything come out of you is negative, you just basically gave permission to your spouse and your children to be negative. You just opened the door for that behavior. That's what you have allowed to happen. But then when they squeeze you again, as you so eloquently placed earlier, and all the positivity come out, you just basically said for your son, daughters, or your wife and everyone around you, your employees and your co-workers and colleagues, that is positivity. I am the beacon of hope. I am the light that sets up on the hill. That's why. And then I like the way Dale Carnegie said it this way. And that's why you have to be the beacon of hope. Because, and as you know, in every crisis situation, I mentioned Dale Carnegie in a few minutes, but in every crisis situation, there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity. Some people that got extremely wealthy, to include the platform that we own right now called Zoom. The owner of Zoom and the creator of Zoom went from being a millionaire in probably a month to a multi-billionaire because of the platform that a lot of organizations had to pivot to be able to reach out to the world. Yeah, you don't minimize the crisis, but it goes back to my perspective, and that's why the Hope Helper, the Hope Finder, is looking for opportunity to bring my people out. We are going to get through this together, and we're going to leverage the team. We're going to leverage those minds. We're going to leverage those powerful things. But most of the people, Dale Carnegie said it this way: most of the things in the world has been accomplished by people who kept trying, that seen when others had no hope, but they had hope. And they kept trying, and they kept trying, and they kept trying because they saw hope for a better future. And you saw the difference. If you listen to the reports, for those who've been watching the news lately, in Miami-Dade County, Florida, where the 12-story condominium crashed, A portion of the building may have crashed, and right now they're going through the rescue efforts right now, trying to save people's lives, trying to look for survivors and trying to recover. That is so tragic. That is so tragic. And there's all the other world events, but I want to use that one right now. As I'm sitting here right now, there's all those first responders in Miami-Dade County, Florida right now trying to recover people. Dogs are sniffing through the rubbish, trying to find lives right now and see if anyone's still surviving. And when you listen to the news reporters interviewing the mayors, the first responders, everything that comes out of their mouth is saying hope, 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 because the families of the people that's under that rubbish is looking for what? Hope, hope. You have to be visible. You have to be present. The mayors, the first responders, and all those cities officials, they're not at home. They're on the scene, and they're providing hope, and they're encouraging people. And so the leaders, to answer to your question, Amy, yes, you have to be present. You have to be that beacon of hope. I can't sit at home and do so and be a beacon of hope. So absolutely right. So that's the long answer to the short yes.
Amazing. And I totally agree with you. Yes. I'm going to throw the same question to Angie and let us hear what he thinks.
Is there any more thing to say? There is nothing more to say, but I just want to give this example. Okay, for example, I just say this as a husband, as a head of the family. So an armed robber, intruder comes to your house. You as the leader, you run away and leave your wife and children to sort themselves out. What happened after the robbers leaves? Just type the comment. Just let me know what happened. If you are a husband and armed robbers came or intruder, or you are a worker, you just leave there. Just let me know what happened. I would love to get your response. How will your family see? How will your family look at you after that? Or you are in the working place, a company. Another example, they lay off their best staff during the crisis. We saw what happened during the corona. Many companies laid off their staff, but there is a company that I know what happened. The management, they took a pay cut. Why? They were visible. Some other people, what happened? They went on extended leave, those that could afford it. What happened? Their budget, their profits increased in the marketplace. That is why you're having this seminar. We want to show you how we can navigate through the crisis so that you can be visible during the crisis time. Yes, it's important. One, I said, as a leader, we must be visible during crisis. All leaders, all great leaders have one thing in common, just as Professor Jeva said, the willingness, have to leave your house to go and look for other people. You have to confront the challenge. There are major anxiety in the lives of people at this time or several times. So again, I like going back to the Dix report because it is a great tool for anyone that can help you as a family person. So one, you have to be visible in showing up early, not just to be a responder, because there are some part of Africa that you know, like when armed robbers or people happen, they don't come to the scene until the armed robbers has left, or if it's a fire disaster, until it has finished destroying the home. They are not visible, they are not on time. But as a leader, as a team leader, you have to be visible in showing up early, staying aware of the situation and communication from a position of awareness. It means you have to be clear, honest, and open communication. That builds trust on your people. It builds trust on your people. If you are here or you're going through one crisis or the other, like he has said, Professor Jeff said something, he said, give hope. Showing up with hope means what? You have faith that together with your team, with your family, with your small business, you will make things happen. Together, you give hope. Hope is an active virtue. It doesn't stand by passively waiting for things to improve. I'll tell you this one. I'll just give this one because of our time. Leaders lead to the challenge. Followers follow from the challenge. Did you get that? Leaders lead to the challenge and followers follow from the challenge. Therefore, so far, you have to be visible. Thank you so much.
Amazing response, Mr. NG. And again, I really like how both of you are just in this very dynamic motion. Like your answers are really complementing each other. And Professor Jeff mentioned briefly about the leadership, I think he called it. And that actually brings me to the next question, but this is for NG. Like, what are some of the signs that a leader should make a shift during a time of crisis?
Oh, thank you, Amy. I thought you would have given the leadership question to Prof because he was the one that said the leadership. Okay, that question was awesome. So I'm going to take it right away. I am so happy that we are here. See, I'm so happy to answer this question. But again, I keep going back. I find myself keep going back to the Dix report. We will follow up and we will answer your question. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. So I always say you can reach out to Prof. Jeff or myself through our website. I think they are posting it right now so that we can get it done for you. What do you do? Okay, back to that question. Do anyone have phone? In fact, all of us have phone. If you're here, I know you have a phone. So crisis is a distraction. I know Prof has already said it. An attraction is the opposite of distraction. Did you get that? Attraction is that action that drags us towards what we want in life. If this is making sense to you, let us know in the chat room. If our answer is making, see, one thing we have to know right now, distraction are actions that takes us away from what we want. That leadership that he has said, that's a book on John Maxwell. So if you want to be distracted, just watch the news or the TV or social media. They are good, but sometimes takes us away from what we want. When a crisis comes, it begins to pull us away, keep us from what we want. We lose focus as a leader. As a leader, our hope is to have an agenda and put the people first. It is our number one priority and it cannot be overemphasized. Nobody, I tell you, nobody ever became rich by wanting to be rich. All those, they had to solve a problem. Like the Wright brothers, Steve Jobs, there was a problem and we know the rest of the two. They solved the problem and boom, they had. Just like Prof has just mentioned, the owner of Zoom. Now we are all in virtual. We can have several people from everywhere, all around the world. And now we are here. See, do you want a solution? You have to be the solution. You have to give the solution. As an entrepreneur, you are working somewhere now. How do you help your business? How do you help your company? How do you help your career? That takes us briefly to the result of distraction. See, mind wandering. That's another subject of itself that I wouldn't want us to go into today. But if you can hit us up on our link or you can go to our website, we can know how to move you further to your clarity. And I hope you're getting some clarity and some nugget because that is our action. See, mind wandering. You start thinking what you do or what you want to do. What can I do? What can happen? What is happening to my business? What is happening to my job? What is happening to my family? Like I said, in the crisis time, negative thinking, everything is going wrong. Know that crisis is a perfect storm for distraction, and fear even spread faster than virus. So many people died out of the coronavirus, more than even the coronavirus. I'll tell you that. See, when life gives you a lemon, I tell you, my friend, make a lemonade. Did you get that? When life gives you a lemon, make a lemonade. Nothing will cause you more anxious than trying to control what you cannot control. Now you are here, get the best out of this webinar. Listen over it, get your Dix report to help you grow on this journey. And I hope this has answered Amy's question. That's some of the side. Thank you so much.
Thank you
You're
very
muted,
much,
Amy.
Angie.
Okay.
Yes, I need to just keep it on for that amazing response. And Professor Jeff has said some, like he said, a lot of wonderful things. But in his previous response, he actually talked about putting people first and about a leader being a beacon of hope, which is truly powerful. And this has something to do with the next question that I'm going to pose to you, Professor Jeff. How does it benefit a leader to keep thinking and making decisions that are aligned with values?
Do I have to answer that, Amy? Do I have to? Please, you're going to make me do it. Okay, all right, all right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try my best. Thank you so much. I'm trying to keep the hold of tears back because Dr. Amy, you are speaking to my heart. And I'm going to use the word value from this perspective. You really are. I know I'm being a little facetious in my little drama, my acting skills here, but really you're speaking to my heart. And as an educator for lots and lots and lots of years, I try to make everything interactive and fun. I laugh at myself. That way I'll give permission for others to laugh at me. So I'm always engaged and having fun. So that's just my nature when I'm in an environment like this. So even in the Zoom world, which is not face to face, but as you can feel, there's a sense of engagement, there's a sense of interaction because of the facilitators and because of the moderator. So that being said, answering the question this way about value, speaking to my heart, it said valuing people as a leader. Valuing people must be your number one priority. We know we said put people first, but some people will do that and don't even like people. Did you get that? Some leaders could be leading people and not even like people. They're just leading from authority. But if you value in people, that changes your perspective because every person I come in contact are valuable. I want to make sure that resonates. I'm slowing down. I'm slowing my talk down a little bit so you get that because there are leaders in positions of titles that don't even like people. They can't get along with themselves. But when leaders value people, which is the number one priority, that people become first and they're valuing people. So that's why I'm going to share it this way of that word value, because leadership is all about serving people. I want to give you a couple things that how you can value people, because every one of us deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you're born. No matter what class you was born into. We born with the silver spoon or the no spoon. And I was one of those guys who was born with the no spoon. Okay. And I was one of those gentlemen that was subjected to being non-valued. That's why this speaks to my heart. So valuing people has to become your priority. And let me close it. Let me just share with you the 4 truths, how people want to be treated. Value. Every person wants to be valued. Deep down, all people want to feel that they're mattered for who they are, not for what they can become, but for who they are now. And when I value people, they sense it. When you value people, they sense it. They can tell. You guys that have been around dogs and horses, you know if they like you or not. It radiates. Okay. Every person wants to be appreciated. Well, how do you know someone wants to be appreciated? Well, if they are breathing, they want to be appreciated. And every person has something to contribute to the world. All people want their contributions recognized. And it's up to us as leaders to be able to develop those skills and that their contributions are being rewarded. Every person wants to be respected, valuing. Arnold Glassnow said it this way: the respect of those you respect is worth more than the applause of the multitude. Let me repeat that. If I can gain the respect of one person, is much more than the applause of the multitude, because the multitude might not be respecting you. They just might be trying to get something from you. Okay. Every person wants to be understood. Understanding means extending yourself, serving yourself, and meeting people at their level, not at your level, at their level. That's where you meet people and putting people. You put in the board in on understanding them and understanding yourself. You have to make the effort to meet people at their level and seek to understand. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, some of you may be familiar with that book. I used to facilitate that course by Stephen Covey. And one of the habits, I believe it's habits number 5, it says, seek first to understand, then you will be understood. Listen, listen, listen. But guess what? You gain some benefits. In everything we do, there's also some benefits that comes out of that by valuing people. Some of the benefits are the side effects. Doctor, these are some of the side effects of this value medicine that you're going to take. You know, they always give you this prescriptions. Okay, what's the side effects, doc? Well, this is the side effects of valuing people. You become less selfish. How about that one? Your attitudes become more positive. Oh my goodness, this is good stuff. You become more likable and attractive to everyone around you. I don't know if I can handle all that, but guess what? That's the benefits of valuing people. You learn from others because you see the value in them. And then last, you receive greater contributions from team members and you foster greater teamwork. So if you value people and you take that pill, these are the side effects of valuing people. That's my medical definition of that, and I'm sticking with it.
I think I like your medical definition. And this is the pill I think everyone wants to take because the side effects are positive. All right. So thank you very much, Professor Jeff, for that wonderful response. My next question is for NG, and it says, in what way does clarity of a leader matter during times of crisis?
Wow, wow, wow. Awesome. Most times, we are all in the same crisis. I'm just jumping into this question right away because of our time, because we want to honor everyone that have come here. So we want to keep it short. But if you want to reach us, you can go to our website, and we are here as a trained, certified speaker and coach to help you on this journey. See, I'll tell you, as a leader, the clarity matters during crisis. So most of us, we are all in the same crisis. Yes, the same danger. Yes, but do we see it, or do we have the same perspective? Absolutely no. We all might be in the same issue, but different perspective. People want to connect with their leaders when things are uncertainty. Leaders must show up clarity. Showing up clarity means what? Knowing the direction as a leader in which you want to go. Absolutely. You have to know the direction as a leader you have to go. Like Andy Stanley said something, uncertainty is not an indication of poor leadership. Rather, it indicates a need for leadership. Did you get that? I'll repeat it again. He said, uncertainty is not the indication of poor leadership. Rather, it indicates a need for leadership, meaning leaders can afford to be uncertain, but they cannot afford to be unclear. You can say, oh, I don't know what is happening, how it's going to happen, but then you cannot afford to be unclear. So the leader has to face reality, see the big picture. I'll just say it, just write this down. Write it down. If you didn't get anything that my prof and myself have said, see the big picture in everything. Make good decisions. Develop a plan. Learn from their problem. That's what leaders do. Apart from that, they also value teamwork, be it in your office, in your home, anywhere you are. Give hope. Make it happen. Watch their attitude. I tell you, I hope you are writing this down. See what I just said. I say, so leaders, they face reality, they see the bigger picture, they make good choices, they develop a plan, they learn from their problem, value teamwork anywhere they are. Leaders also need to show up early, like we already said. They stay aware of the situation and communicating from the point of awareness. It means clear, honest, and open communication. That beats trust in everyone. Oh, oh. This quote is wonderful. Winfred Newman said something. Vision is the word that the world desperately needs. Vision is the word desperately needs. There is no hopeless situation. Only people who think is hopeless. Did you get that? There is nothing as, oh, I'm in a hopeless situation. Whatever challenge, whatever situation you are in, this will pass too. So showing up clarity, like I've said, the leader must stay in constant communication with his team. As a husband, you have to maintain communication with your wife. As a team leader, as a business, a small business owner, whether just be in a small firm. I have this Learn to Lead consult. It's just a 3-man firm and we're just growing. I always tell my team what we need to do. I always try to be clear with them. See, we must stay. Don't assume that people know what you want to say. Again, I delegate responsibility to other leaders. We have several people behind the scene working. They are doing that. What did I do? I had to deliberately think. Deliberate thinking into the situation. Make sure your thinking and your decision is aligned with your value. Do I have value? Yes. The law of Mount Everest says something. He said, as the challenges escalate, the need of teamwork escalate. That's why as your business grow, as your family grow, what happens? The teamwork. When you're washing the dishes, you can tell, if you have a family of 4, you can tell your son, pick this. Or if you have a daughter, you can say, pick this. Now what? The challenges you are multitasking, you are giving up is escalating. So you have to give teamwork in the office. You don't have to be a one-man show. Nobody does better being a one-man. That's the principle. You can use your family. You can use your family. Final notes because of our time. I'll just keep it short. Someone just say, keep it short, NG, keep it short. And I'm keeping it short and real. See, Emerson said something. He said, all I have seen teaches me to trust that the creator for all I have not seen. What did I say? All I have seen teaches me to trust the creator for all I have not seen. The nature of leadership, I tell you, that demand, there is always an element of it. Leadership helps you help people to get attraction during distraction. And that's the first point in attraction, is getting rid of the negative emotion. That is my story, and I'm sticking with it. Thank you so much. And I hope this is the last question because our time is last first. Thank you, Dr. Ami. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angie. And I really hope everyone has been getting something from this masterclass, because this is just power packed. So many wisdom nuggets that are being dropped. And again, I'm going to keep saying it. I like how basically both of you are just giving responses that are really flowing into each other, complementing each other. And I think this is great. So this is a bittersweet moment because we've come to the last question, and left to me, we would just stay here all day, but obviously we know we can't. But Professor Jeff said something earlier, and he was talking about distraction, and he said that a distraction is something that basically drives you away from your primary goal. So this last question basically goes around that. It says, as a leader, what is one way you can remain focused and think your way through any crisis? That's for Professor Jeff.
One way, all I get is give one way. It's going to take a lot, it takes a lot of ways, but I'll just try to say it in one way and sum it up this way is that thank you, Amy, so much and for mentioning the word distraction, because no matter how good and gifted we are, we still get distracted. And sometimes in the midst of that distraction, we get mind wandering and negative thinking, uncertainty, all those things exist based on that level of distraction. It absolutely happens because we are human beings. That's who we are. So don't ever get to this point where you got this halo around you and everything is perfect. No, it does not exist. No matter how gifted you are, it does not exist. But when you can come back and be rooted and grounded in what your values are and putting people first, and the reason you was chose to be the leader. And once you do that, that keeps you focused. Because as NG said earlier in his opening question, is that once I take on that title and role as a leader, I default my responsibilities of my serving myself to be to serving others. I've got to take on that mantle of serving others, and that's got to be my charge. It has to be my focus. I have to be that beacon of hope. I have to be that light. I have to spread cheer and joy. I have to find a way to do that, because if you don't do that, Dr. Amy, you fail the people, and people will perish because of that. They will perish because people do model what people do. How you might think that's not the case, but I just keep it simple. Put people first, and this shall pass. When those negative emotions comes up, speak to the right shoulder and say, get away, negative emotions, and positive, squeeze out the positive, because this shall pass. Lead well, folks. Are you going to have some challenges? You bet you will, but still lead well and put people first.
Amazing, amazing. Lead well and put people first. So this is one of the ways we can remain focused and think our way through any crisis. This is just brilliant. So before we get to the end of this amazing masterclass, I think Mr. NG has something he wants to say before I close.
No, nothing much to say. Just a final word from the speaker. I just want to thank everyone that have been here with us, like that, So it's been an amazing time with you. You now is the time to decide whether you will apply what you have just learned in this master class. If you want to commit being stronger, more stable, and more influential, and more effective leader in time of crisis or during crisis, you must be intentional about your approach. So I'm telling you right again, you have to get the Maxwell Dix report. Maxwell Dix is a personal tool. You have to do it. And the report is from the John Maxwell team. It comes directly to you. And if you want our help, we will just help you to give you a free debrief because you are here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Professor Jeff. Thank you, Amy. I'm so pleased and honored doing this with you all. With Prof vast experience in the Air Force, being a professor, we are having so much fun, and I know we had so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, NG. And before I give the closing remarks, I will just, it's been amazing, and it's been so great having Professor Jeff here. So I just wanted to see if there's any remarks you wanted to give before I close.
Amy, were there any questions inside the chat room that we need to address? Anything of that nature? I don't know if there was any questions or not. Okay, just comments.
Yeah, just comments.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and save the chat so I can have what you guys say so I can call you up later. Well, let me just say it this way, and I'll keep it simple because of the time. And I think I told you earlier, I'm a talker. That's just my nature. But I love what I do because of who you are. I'm passionate about connecting with people from all over the globe. And that's what I love to do. Those are the gifts that God has given me, the ability to be able to share the stories and my past and my history to make it a personal, what I call a testimony. I am no longer a victim. I'm victorious. And so I want all of us to live a victorious life and live in a word of positive. And I like to leave it this way. And NG, of course, you know, I thank you. I think you know how I feel about you already. Yeah, absolutely. You and I wearing blue jackets and blue shirts, and we just look so much alike. I think, I don't know. Am I your dad? I'm not sure. I got to check on that. I'm gonna find out about that. Okay.
I-
But I want to leave it. This is my last closing remarks. We have multiple blood types that's flowing through our body. We do. We have A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative. And doctor, you know what I'm talking about. We have multiple blood types flowing through our body. But I want to leave this attitude of this about blood types. The primary blood types that we should all have, and it should be singularly one, and that B positive. Did you get that, Dr. Amy? Did you
Yeah.
get that? B positive. That should be the world's blood type. That's the attitude of always being positive. So I use the blood types to engage audience and get them engaged about that. And I give out door prizes when they get them all right. But I let them know, regardless of the colors of our skin, the different backgrounds, the different parents, we all should be manifesting and promoting one blood type, and that is B positive. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate being here. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to serving you well in future opportunities. God bless you, and may God keep you.
Man, wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Professor Jeff. So I'm just going to give the closing remarks in a second, but I just wanted to say that we would like to take a group photo. So if you are comfortable, you can just put your camera on and it will be captured. This is just, it's not mandatory, but it's something that would be nice. So just for the group photo. So, wow, amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in this amazing masterclass. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. And if you would like to dive deeper in other several webinars, kindly reach out to our speakers as their contacts will be displayed on the screen. And you can also reach them via the messaging or the chat or follow them on social media. And just like Angie has said, don't forget to sign up for your DISC report immediately to avail yourself of the opportunity of free 30 minutes debriefing of the report. You can use the link that is being shared and register and take action now. Remember that the DISC report is specifically for your growth, and the process will help you to know yourself better so that you can maximize your growth journey. But all in all, I just want to say that I have learned a great deal. This masterclass has been an eye opener. It's actually been even much more interesting than I bargained for originally. So I'm like really, really glad that I'm a part of this. And thank you guys so much. And with that, I wish you a very good evening or a good afternoon or wherever you are. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you and God bless you.
Bye bye. God bless you. Thank you so much.
You can stop the recording now.